This is the Jeff Jerina Show.
Hey, what's up, and welcome back to the show. It's Jeff here, and I'm super excited that you're here. Now, before we dive into today's episode, I want to tell you real quick about something I've been working on behind the scenes. It's a brand new book specifically written for men. And the way that I wrote this book, and really through the short, practical chapters that I put in the book, I think that you're going to find that this book is one of those must-have books and tools that you're going to want to get your hands on and apply in your life today. Now, unlike my other books where every one of those was written for both men and women, this book here is laser focused on helping men step up spiritually, personally, and relationally. And in the book, you're going to find 21 short, powerful, easy to complete missions. And most of these missions here, you're going to be able to complete them in less than 5 minutes. And each one of those is designed to challenge, stretch, and grow your faith and your life in practical, doable ways. Now, I wanted to let you know about the book. The book is not out yet. We're trying to get it published this year. I'm working right now. I'm editing the book, and it's got to go through a final edit. That's what we're working on. But I just wanted you to know about it because if you want a discounted pre-order copy, all you have to do is go to my contact page right now, go to jeffjerina.com/contact, and just simply let me know in the contact form there that you want to get on the early bird VIP discount list. Now, when you do that, that's going to come with some other really cool bonuses as well. So again, just go to jeffjerina.com/contact. Let me know that you want to get on the early bird VIP discount list, and I'll send you the email with all the details, all that stuff. Okay, so today's podcast episode, I want to talk about something that might be one of the most powerful missions that you can ever take on as a man or a woman. And what I'm talking about here is the act of being fully engaged with your kids. Now, I'm not talking about just showing up where you're there physically, where, not just being in the room while scrolling through your phone or watching TV or whatever, but really being there. I'm talking about your heart, your mind, your spirit, and, just being locked in and engaged with your son or daughter for those moments, that quality time. And the reason why I'm saying this because, and you probably already know this, because in a world that's constantly pulling us in a million plus directions, your presence, it's like a superpower, man. I mean, it is powerful. And so I want to talk here what that kind of looks like. And I want to share a quick story here with you because I think this is really going to hit home and make this podcast episode make so much more sense. So on Monday, we just got back from a 12-day vacation, family vacation. And 10 of those nights we were on a Disney cruise, and that's compliments of my in-laws. Thank you so much again for that. Really appreciate that. We would not have been able to do that if it wasn't for them. And if you've ever been on a Disney cruise or any type of cruise, you've probably experienced or that they have shows or performances that they do for the individuals that are on the cruise ship, right? And Disney, what they do, especially if it's like 7 nights or 10 nights, they actually have their own performances. They have their own Disney plays, theaters, whatever. But on this specific night, the story I want to talk about, they had a juggler. It was an outside performer, and it was this juggler. And they had multiple shows that night, as they do every night. And we're in this theater here, this auditorium that sits about 2,500 plus people, okay? And it was packed. And so the juggler's, is doing he's got his performance going on, and he's doing this probably about, I would say 15 to 20 minutes. And then he's walking into the audience, and he's walking towards our section. And we're probably around row 5 to row 7, something like that. He comes into our section, and he's starting to talk to the guy below me, in the row below me. And my son jumps up out of his chair, and he's jumping up all over the place, screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs, and he's saying in front of 2,500 plus people and to that performer, to that juggler, "My dad knows how to juggle. My dad knows how to juggle. My dad knows how to juggle." And he's pointing at me the whole time. And so this performer is looking at the guy below me, looks at me, looks back to the guy below me, and he says, "Hey, I'm sorry, this guy can juggle." Next thing I know, he hands me a microphone, asks me some questions, then probably within about 2 minutes after that, asked me to come up on stage. And so the juggler asked me hey, let me see you juggle. And I was like, whoa, man, I better stick this thing because my son was just asking me to come up, or he was just boasting about me. So I better stick this. So I started juggling, and I'm like, okay, in my head, I'm going to do it between the legs. I do the between the legs. I got all these people watching. I stuck it. It landed. I didn't drop a single ball. Awesome. And he's like, oh man, we can up the level here. Next thing I know, him and I, this juggler, we're juggling together. And it was so cool. I mean, that whole time was so fun to juggle in a live performance like that, especially with that many people. So I go back to my seat, and as I'm walking up the aisle to go to my seat, my son is running down with the biggest smile you've ever seen, so proud of me, gives me a big hug. We walk back, we sit back down. And as soon as I sat down, I realized, the coolest part of that, yeah, you could say obviously was the juggling, but the coolest part here was seeing how proud my son was of me and how excited and happy he was, and really, I would say forthright about telling that performer and telling everybody else in that audience, and adamant as well, that his dad could juggle. And I realized in that moment that the beauty and the importance of being engaged with your kids and spending time with them is so important. And so that's why I'm telling you the story. Because your time that you spend with your son or your daughter, being fully engaged with them, that matters. Because let's be honest here, I did not get picked because I look like a juggler, right? Or because I raised my hand, because I didn't raise my hand. I wasn't wearing any type of clothes that like a juggling performer. I didn't do any of that. I didn't come with juggling balls. I didn't have that. I got picked because my son vouched for me. I got picked, I really think, because my son willed me up on that stage. And he willed me up on that stage because he believed in me. He was proud of me. He wanted me up there more than anybody else. And I'm not saying there wasn't a single person, another person that could not juggle. But I know that my son was the most excited and adamant about telling everybody else that his dad could juggle. And all that only happened because we've spent time together. We've tossed the ball around. We've done sports. We played games. We juggled at home. I've taken him places. We have talks. I'm coaching him, helping him, whatever. I listen to him. So he knew I could do it because I've been engaged in his life. And just a quick side note here, I found out the next day from the cruise director. In fact, when you do something like that in front of all those people on a cruise ship and they see you, you get noticed, right? And the cruise director was watching that show. And again, they had multiple shows that night. And the cruise director came up to me. My son and I were doing something else on the ship. I think my daughter and my wife were doing something, and my son and I were doing this boat building contest. And I said, so I got to ask you, did that performer do that on any other show? He said, no. He said, once he knew that you could juggle and saw that you could juggle, he improv'd all that into the act. And I thought, man, that was so cool. And that cruise director looked at my son and he said, this chokes me up. He looked at my son and he said, you were so proud of your dad. I mean, that just chokes me up thinking about that. And my son was like, yes, I am. And I thought, man, that just reaffirms to me the importance of being engaged in your children's lives. And that right there is a moment that I'm never going to forget. Never going to forget. And so I just want to give you some scripture verses here to back this up and give you some biblical wisdom to really impart in your life here on maybe getting more engaged in your children's life if you're not already. And so there's one here, Psalm 127, verse 3, and it says, man, sorry, I'm still choking up over that. Man, I had no idea that was going to get me like that. Wow. So Psalm 127, verse 3, it says, children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him. So your kids, my kids, they're not just part of our lives, right? They're a gift. They're a blessing from the Lord, and they're a treasure. And that right there has to be stewarded. I mean, we got to steward it well, right? In Ephesians 6:4, the Apostle Paul writes, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And all that right there, it starts by simply being there. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And it's in the small stuff, those dinner time chats, those lunchtime chats, the bike rides, the little walks, the bedtime stories, whatever that is, the 5-minute driveway, basketball games, or playing lacrosse, tennis, whatever that is, that's where it starts. And before I get into here giving you some practical tips or some ideas of kind of how being engaged looks like, I just want to let you know that if you're listening to this podcast episode, you can watch the short clip of me juggling. I'm going to put it on my website. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it somewhere on my website. But I know that I'm going to put it in this episode on my YouTube channel. And you're just going to have to go to the episode, look for the title, and just go there because most of this is going to be audio. But I'm going to put a clip there of the video portion, maybe about 2 to 3 minutes of that, so you can see me and this other guy juggling. Not to see how good I juggle or not, but just for me, it's just the joy of me being up there and realizing in that moment, even when I was up on stage juggling, that my son wheeled me up on that stage, that he was proud of me. And I know my daughter was too, but my son was the loudest because he was right there, because my daughter was a little bit farther away. And I'm sure she was yelling too, but just those moments was so cool for me. And so if you want to watch that, you can check it out. And who knows, maybe if you're interested in me coming out and juggling at your school, your organization, whatever, that's cool. Just hit me up on my contact page at jeffjerina.com. And the best way to find that on the YouTube channel is go to jeffjerina.com, scroll down to the very bottom of the footer, and you're going to see that little YouTube icon. Click on that. It's going to take you to my YouTube channel. Then subscribe to the channel, and you'll be able to watch the video. All right. So I want to go back here. I want to talk about what being engaged looks like. These are just kind of some quick thoughts that I have. And you probably already know this, but maybe, these are just going to give you some quick ideas. To me, being engaged or being an engaged parent, it's not about being perfect. That's number one. It's not about being perfect. And I know we talk a lot about this on the show, but I just, I think it's so important to hammer this point home is that we don't have to worry about being perfect. In fact, our kids don't even want that. I think I talked about that in another podcast episode. More than being perfect, it's about being present in their life. And here's some ideas of how that can look like. Number one, and I'd say maybe most importantly now, is putting your phone down, putting your laptop, your iPad, your tablet, whatever it is, put it down. Don't even look at it, especially when your kids are talking to you and you're spending time with them. And then here's another way, showing up at their game or their performance or activity, whatever it is. And you don't have to go to every one. I mean, life's busy. You got to work. But maybe one a semester, whatever that is, make an effort. Maybe that means, okay, I can't do this day, so I can make at least one performance. I'm going to make sure that I show up at least one time so they know that to me, they're valuable. And what they do is important to me. And then here's another one. Actually listening to what your kids have to say, not just nodding, yes, yeah, I'm with you, while your brain's somewhere else, but actually listening, maybe even asking them some follow-up questions so they're like, hey, my mom or dad, they're really listening here. They want to find out more what's going on. And here's another one. This is something my family and I do, and it's just to create some little traditions. They don't have to be these grandiose things, but just little traditions that just you and your kids do. I can tell you that one of the things that my family and I do, every Friday night, we have movie night pizza night. Now, some days, I will be honest with you, we can't make the Friday night because we're really busy doing something else, so we'll move it to a Saturday. But every week we're doing a movie night, pizza night. We make our own pizzas. We pick a movie out, we watch it. And it's just something that we're doing on a weekly basis that our kids can see us that, hey, they can count on this thing to happen every single week. And I can tell you right now, I think I was choking up again. I don't know what is going on with me today. I can tell you right now, looking back at my childhood, I grew up in the time where there wasn't a DVD player, there wasn't VCRs. We had to put sheets on the wall, and we had that 8-track or 8mm track, whatever you call it, video projector. And my parents would put that sheet up there. We would wrap that little 8-track up on the video projector, and we would watch family films. There was no audio, but to this day, those right there are some of my fondest childhood memories. Again, these don't have to be complicated. It just has to be real. So I just want to talk about this again here, why all this matters. It matters to me, and I know it matters to you because, number one, your kids, if you're a mom or a dad, your kids are watching you, right? They're watching you like a hawk more than anything that you say. And they're picking up on how we treat them, right? How we show up in their lives or how we don't show up in their lives. And what we prioritize over them, they're going to see that more than anything else, right? And so when you're engaged in their life, they feel seen, they feel noticed, they feel recognized. And when you're consistent with this, they feel safe, they feel confident. And when you're present, fully engaged in their life, they feel loved, they feel cared for. They feel like, hey, man, I can do anything. And so these are just some of the things that, in my mind, they're going to carry with them the rest of their lives. And so we better make as many of these moments as good as we can. So I just want to go back here to the cruise, to that story that I shared with you. I just want to go back here to that cruise moment. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I just want to share this because it's just popped in my head. I just realized that this could have easily gone another way, right? I could have, absolutely not been picked. I mean, he could have picked the guy in front of him. He could have picked somebody else throughout the stands. Who knows? Maybe somebody else who's a better juggler. I don't know. And I think maybe that could have happened if I had been the kind of dad who was always too busy or disconnected, where my son was like, he might not have even thought to yell it out. Maybe not even been happy to yell it out. Maybe not even been proud enough of me to do that. But I think that because we've shared those real moments, we've spent quality time together, we've done a lot of different stuff. I've been fully engaged with them and my daughter. I think my son was so excited and joyful and adamant about telling that juggler and everybody else in there, 2,500 plus individuals, men, women, children, everybody, the whole audience, that his dad was the best option was so cool. I mean, he was telling everybody, pick my dad because he's going to be the best thing that you got in this theater. Now, I'm not saying that I am, but to my son, I was. How cool is that? Don't you want your son or daughter to think that about you? And let me tell you again here that moment is something I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life. And so as we get ready to wrap up this podcast episode here, I just want to give you a challenge this week. Number one, be fully present in the lives of your kids. Be fully present. Because the most powerful thing that you can give your kids, it's not advice, it's not money, it's not even, a super awesome opportunity. It's you. It's your time. You being fully engaged with them in those moments in their lives. That's the most important thing. And so I would just, to take that a step farther here, I would encourage you to find one simple way this week to show up. Maybe that means taking your son or daughter to lunch, or maybe it means go on a short walk together or a bike ride. Maybe it means starting a quick or a short little Bible reading plan together, or a little devotional book, whatever. Maybe it's picking a scripture verse and just read it. Or maybe it's just sitting on the floor and, taking some time to build some Legos, or maybe play a board game, play games, whatever that is. Just spending that extra quality time with them. And remember, whatever it is, to be all in for those few minutes. Because that right there, it's going to matter more than you know. Probably more than you'll ever know. But to them, they'll remember it. And hey, before we close this out, I want to remind you, if you haven't done so already, to sign up to the free Ignite newsletter. To do that, all you have to do is go to jeffjerina.com/newsletter. And remember, that Ignite newsletter is where I share resources, stories, practical tips, other tips on, business and faith and leadership, and really give you some more insight on the books I've written, the courses, and all these different resources that we have, as well as it will keep you up to date on every new podcast episode. And hey, again, if you're interested in my upcoming book and you want to pre-order your discounted copy, please let me know that on the contact form on my contact page at jeffjerina.com/contact today, and I'll make sure I send you all the details. And thank you so much for spending just a few minutes with me today. I really appreciate it. God bless. I'll see you on the next episode.